Today's adventure takes us to Zarley Cemetery here in Joliet. This is Will County's oldest known cemetery, with burials going back as far back as 220 years. Mary Sunbuffler is the first one buried in Will County, or first marked buried grave in Will County, 1801. So today we're going to explore the cemetery and we're going to try to find Mary's grave. So come on and join me as we explore Zarley Cemetery. Zarley Cemetery here in Will County, Illinois. And here's Thomas Price. Looks like he died in 1863. Lots of very old tombstones and markers here. Several propped up against here that are extremely old. Did you find it? I sent my crack squad, my investigator out to find Mary's tombstone.
Might not be it. I can't figure it out.
Do you have the flashlight with you by chance?
No.
Oh, did I not bring the flashlight? That's unfortunate. Alright, so this is William. You see any dates on it? It's pretty hard to see, isn't it?
I see an 8. Yeah, no, that's about it.
Well, that must have been a popular shape for markers. We'll continue on. There's some old markers back here. Let's see what these look like here. Some extremely old markers propped up here amongst the trees. This one here, 1901, Klaus Larson. And these are so old that they're mostly buried. A monument here that has not only fallen over, but you can't even read what it says anymore. Several old tombstones in here. Another one here that's pretty much unreadable. One from 1919. Mother. Oh, I'm getting called. You found it, huh? As I just walked through a sunken grave. Several sunken graves here. So there's hundreds of plots in here. So it's not a small cemetery, but it is very old. No longer active. but it looks like it's kept up pretty well. What'd you find?
This is it.
This is it?
Read it. It says mother. That one says father.
Oh, does it? So that's Mary's grave, the oldest grave in Will County. That's pretty amazing. Is the writing on this side? I guess you could see the writing in here. So that says father and that says mother?
Yeah.
Wow.
It says shine light really specifically at it.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
When I die, can I have one of these on my tombstone?
Is that a ferret?
I don't know. Oh my god.
Looks like a ferret on a tombstone.
Really?
I don't know, you're gonna die well after me, so. We got here. Lanny, wife of Margaret. No. I don't know who this is wife of. Garrett. Mr. Garrett? I don't know. Interesting nonetheless. As we walk along here, there's a good number of markers that have fallen and have become part of the earth, just like the residents below them. H.B. Nichols Sr. died May 2nd, 1900. William Milligan died in 1861. His wife died in 1901. Wow. So she lived another 60 years after he passed away. It's amazing to think that some of these markers have been here 200 plus years. Absolutely amazing. Richard Elliott, his wife Anne. They died pretty close together. As I walk through another sunken grave. And this is, I don't have a flashlight with me. I wish I did. I see something that says, looks like 1889 maybe? Maybe 1889. Mother Auguste Harms, 1925. Herman Stroman, 1921. Yeah, I noticed there's some markers back in the brush there. Take a look back here a second. I do not see anything back here. Cemetery must end. So let's turn around. Got plenty to see over here. be careful because not only are some of these graves sunken a little bit, but there's random stones sticking out of the ground. There's one, the Maps family. Robert Maps. Looks like he died in 1895, perhaps. This stone here looks like it's in really good condition. Ella R. Howard. Another Maps family stone. There's some old stones here. It's amazing this one's still standing because it's very thin and tall. This one is unreadable, unfortunately. So are these. These are unreadable as well. Waller family. Gotta be interesting living this close to a cemetery. A nice tall obelisk there. That's gotta be 8 to 10 feet tall. Let's see if we can read this one here. Somebody, wife of William Hansel, and died, and then the rest of it is buried. Wow. Got several here that are in the ground. This one here says father. This is an amazing one here. This one, this monument, fortunately the top came off. And somehow it's been moved on its base, which is extremely interesting. All right, as we check out this portion of the cemetery, we've got James Hemphill, died 1863, 60 years old. Matthew Barnes, born in 1820, died 1896. And shortly thereafter, his wife Mary died in 1897. This is kind of weird. There's quite a echo as I talk here, and I don't know if you could pick that up, but that's interesting. Very interesting. So we move on. Sort of hard to read that. It's the Lauer family. John and Mary, Archie, Wilbur, Frank. Here we have the Denison, Alexander and Margaret Denison, natives of Ireland. And here's an interesting one. It's Laraway, Charles Laraway. The road we took to get here, that's about a mile away, is Laraway Road. Therefore his namesake. Died in 1836. No, that's not right, 1896. So that would do it today at Zarley Cemetery. We found the oldest marked grave in Will County, Illinois, 220 years ago. Mary's buried right over there, along with hundreds of other graves. I mean, this cemetery is much bigger than I thought it was, much older than I thought it was. So when they say it's the oldest cemetery in Will County, they're not lying. Hold everything. So before I go on these investigations, I try to do a little bit of research to make it sound like I might know what I'm talking about. So I did some research before I went to Zarley Cemetery, and I found something interesting. Mary's son Beffler, who died in 1801, is supposed to be the oldest marked grave in Will County. Well, I came home, did a little more research because I wondered why Mary's grave was right next to a grave that looked just like hers, but there's no mention of a Mr. Son Beffler. So I started to look into it a little bit and realized that this picture of Mary's son Beffler's grave looks a lot like somebody else's. Mary Schreffler's grave, who died in 1901. As a matter of fact, it is the same grave. There is no Mary son Beffler who died in 1801. The marker actually belongs to Mary Schreffler, who died in 1901, who is next to her husband, Samuel Schreffler. So therefore, this whole video was one big lie. Interesting nonetheless, and eventually I found the truth and notified the website that I did the research on that their information is incorrect. So Mary son Beffler does not exist and did not die in 1801. Mary Schreffler does exist and died in 1901. And that's her tombstone. And that's it for this video. So until next time, keep exploring.